heart beats just a little faster right now, doesn't it? As they stand alone right now. No cornermen. They're just ready to make the ring walk for the biggest fight that boxing can make.
Yes, sir. Black Body Coast. This is your boy Shadow Ghost. Keep your hands up. Keep your chin tucked. Man, oh man. I hope y'all having a blessed day. We want to talk about tomorrow's fight. Broly versus Gervonta Tank Davis. So, as you know, you guys, I just got done watching the weigh-in not too long ago. And we saw what happened. After the stare down, Tank pushed Broly. And Broly went over that little edge. And I always watch all these weigh-ins, by the way, even if I'm at work, no matter where I'm at. I always like to catch a weigh-in because it tells you a lot. You know, you can see what type of condition the fighter is in, if he's had a good training camp, if he looks weight drained. I mean, it's not like you could tell who's going to win the fight, but it's always been interesting to me. I love watching the weigh-ins, right? So after it's over, I'm in the comment section, and of course, you know, there's a lot of trolls, but there's a lot of people that are like, you know, hey, Broly is scared. Tank is in Broly's head. This and that, da 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 da. And of course, people are saying the opposite way too. There's some Broly fans out there. Let's go back a little bit and talk about why this fight is even happening. If you remember, the WBA, people were complaining there was too many belts. You have the intern belt, you got the baby belt, you got the main belt, this and that. So they listened to the people and they took away the intern belts. Anyone that had an intern belt became the automatic Mando for the person above them. That's why Chris Colbert was going to fight Roger Gutierrez. That's why Rolly Romero was mandated to fight Tank. Broly has been calling Tank out. Why would he go through all this just to be afraid? It just doesn't make any sense. It's the same the people that say this, they make no sense. It's the same reason why these guys will get on Canelo for being undisputed at 168 and saying, oh, these are weak champions and this and that. And then when we turn around and criticize Gervonta Tank Davis for getting these WBA belts, the so-called baby belts, which I respect it anyway, because that shit is not easy, bro. Moving up to 140, getting a belt in any weight class, even an intern, to me, is really, it takes hard work. All these guys are professionals. But when we try to criticize Tank and say, well, look at the belts he's getting. Let's not forget, guys, that on June 4th, Kambosos is fighting Devin Haney for the undisputed titles. Nowhere does it say, you guys need to beat Tank afterwards to get his belt. No, because he has the WBA belt, the baby one. I'm going to call it the baby one. And Kambosos has the one that is higher, the one that is recognized. That's why Haney and Kambosos is for undisputed. That's why people look down on these baby belts and the intern belts, stuff like that. I don't, but some people do. So now that we established that it was mandated, right? If you go to the first press conference, you will see Rolly and Tank. Tank was very, very frustrated. He was frustrated. He said Rolly is levels below him. He was talking about, I didn't even want to show up to the press conference. In fact, 2 days ago, Tank kind of interview, I think it was with Ellie Setback, where he said, you know, I'm glad that I didn't fight him back then when it was canceled with the Rolly allegations. He said, because I was angry. I was full of anger. Now I'm different, this and that. So Rolly has been in Tank's head. So let's get that out the way. I do think that Tank is in Rolly's head too. I think both of these guys are in each other's heads. They don't like each other. It's a grudge match. They're both been highly disrespectful towards one another. And at the weigh-in, I agree. If you see the Fight Hype interview, shout out to Fight Hype. There was a Fight Hype interview with Bullet after the weigh-in, and he's upset. He's saying that Gervonta Tank Davis is unprofessional, and Rolly could have got hurt, and he doesn't want to fight him and all that. Now, I wouldn't go that far to say that he doesn't want to fight him and he was trying to injure him to get out the fight. But I saw in the comment section even there, people were like, oh, that's some soft ass shit. He hardly even touched him. Y'all need to really recognize that at a weigh-in, none of these guys walk around at 135. We already know that Tank already walks around at like 150, 160. Coach Wade, who was the coach and strength and conditioning coach of Rolly, a shout out to him. I like that guy. That's the same guy that was the strength and conditioning coach for Caleb Plant. He had him in my opinion, the best shape of his career to face Canelo Alvarez, although he came out short. There was an interview with Coach Wade, and he said, listen, Rolly was walking around at 175. And he said he also was glad that the fight was called off because it gave him more time to work on his weight and stuff like that, and his strength and his conditioning. But none of these guys walk around at 135, is what I'm trying to say. When you are cutting weight, you're not the strongest, you know what I mean? You are weak. And I just think it was unprofessional because Rolly could have twisted his ankle. He could have hurt himself. And we all know that there's always a backup fighter. If you look at when Anthony Joshua was going to fight, I think it was Big Baby Miller. I forgot his name. The guy that got popped so many damn times straight. Andy Ruiz was a step-in. Now, these step-ins, I'm not sure if they get paid or not, but they have to go through camp and everything like that, and they got to be prepared to make weight in case one of these fighters don't, if they get sick or something happens, they get injured. You got to remember that a lot of this is our Barclays Center is already, from what I'm hearing, sold out. A lot of people, including content creators, have already traveled over there and got their hotels, and everything is all set up. If Rolly gets injured, and I don't know who they have to step in or whatever like that, people are going to be upset, even though they have a replacement. They didn't pay to see somebody else. They paid to see Rolly versus Tank. I think it was unprofessional on Tank because I just feel like now he even gave Rolly an excuse. Bullet even said, oh, well, Rolly says he's not hurt, but right now there's a lot of adrenaline, and we don't know. And so now there's an excuse that could say that his ankle got hurt and this and that, and I'm not saying that he was, bro. It was clearly a light push, but I'm looking at it from the other side that this was a weigh-in, okay? When you cut weight, you're not in the best condition that you are, as far as like some people got to be held up afterwards. Now that depends on how good your camp is, how good you've been keeping your weight in check and your diet and how often you've been in the gym. Let's also talk about that for a second. So Tank is over here. This is why I think that Rolly is in Tank's head. I'm going to make a case for both. Tank is over here saying that Rolly, he shouldn't even be fighting Rolly. Rolly's a bum. Rolly is levels above him. And a lot of people think this. I think Rolly has the most horriblest jab, if that's even a word. I think he has a horrible jab. Put it like that. I think that you can see Rolly's jab from a mile away. It is a power jab, but you could see it coming a mile away. His foot placement is kind of sloppy. So we understand when we say levels to this. But you see the condition that Tank came in? I have never seen Tank this ripped. Never. He came in at 133, bro. Usually Tank has a problem making weight. That goes to show you he's not playing around. So why would you be that serious if this guy was levels above you? Why would you even take your weight camp that serious? I'm going to tell you why. He's put himself in a position that if he was to lose to Rolly, his whole career would be in question. His whole career would be in question. Because people are already, they talk about, well, how come he didn't fight Josh Taylor at 140? He picked Barrios and he didn't want to fight Loma and all this other stuff. And he doesn't go after these major belts. He goes after the smaller belts. So people already criticize him for that. And so if he was to lose to Rolly, they're going to say, see, I told you. The same thing that they're doing to Canelo right now. You know, these guys said that they, right before the fight, 90% of them didn't even know who Bivol was. Now all of a sudden Bivol's the man and all this other stuff, and you already know how the fans are, okay? A lot of these guys don't know how to keep it 100 on both sides, you know? So you already know what'll happen if he loses to Rolly. Now on the other hand, Rolly, you know, I heard even the announcers or the ringside people, what's that guy that plays for the Mavericks? I forgot his name. I think it's Steven Jackson, the guy that's always at these fights now. He said that he believes that this spot, the moment is too big for Rolly, and the lights and all the crowd is gonna get him nervous and all this other stuff. Yes, I understand that to an extent. Like, let me give an example. Caleb Plant has defended his belt a couple times before he fought Canelo, but that moment, that sold out crowd, fighting the face of boxing, yes, I can understand how a moment can overtake you. But, and this is no knock to Rolly. This is no knock. But I don't think Rolly is smart enough to even realize that he's in that moment. You know what I mean? I think he's literally crazy. I think he's not afraid of Tank at all. I do not think that there's a difference between being nervous and being afraid. Everyone gets them butterflies in the stomach, that nervousness, and the more you fight and the more you do something, the more comfortable you become. I think that there's a sense of maybe nervousness, but I don't think either guy is afraid. I think they're both in each other's head. Okay, there's no way that Tank thinks this guy is a cakewalk, or he wouldn't be coming in looking like the way he does. He made it 133. He's ripped. He knows if he doesn't look good against Rolly, people are going to question his whole career. Rolly, on the other hand, has been calling Tank out for a long period of time. He says that he ducked him twice in sparring. They both have different stories. It doesn't matter because they're not going to be sparring tomorrow. They're going to be fighting. I agree that it was unprofessional of Tank to push Rolly. However, when you are cutting weight, you're not as strong as you usually are. And, you know, like in the UFC, even though it's UFC, they're both combat sports. They both cut weight very similar. They use saunas, they don't eat, they don't drink. They just cut weight, whatever they got to do to make weight. And sometimes guys pass out. They pass out when they get off the scale and everything. So I just think that it was unprofessional because it doesn't matter if it's light. He was already standing on the edge. If he would have hurt his ankle or something like that, and the fight there would have had to been a replacement. There's always a replacement waiting. So they probably don't even have the best camp. That's why replacements. The only time I've ever seen that work out is with Big Baby Miller when Ruiz stood in for him. But other than that, I agree. I don't. And not only that, but you're giving them an excuse now. You're giving them an excuse. Even though Rolly said that he felt better, he didn't get injured and all this other stuff, you know, later on he could turn around and say, you know what, I did twist my ankle. Or now he could use that as an excuse to lose if he loses the fight. I just think that it just wasn't a good idea. I just think that they should have, people need to control the fighters, or people need to stay. If they can't control themselves, then somebody's got to be in the middle. Somebody's got to be in the middle because they're going to jeopardize the fight. One day, I'm telling you, one day, there's going to be something where the fight's going to be jeopardized because of something that happens on stage. We saw it with Clarissa Shields when her trainer knocked that guy out against the guy that they were fighting. This is why people need to get in the middle of stuff like this. I knew something was going to happen. But anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. This is Shadow Ghost. I hope y'all have a blessed weekend. And until next time, I'm out.